on today's plasma. Today is coded with the Red Galactic Skywalker. I harmonize in order to explore, modeling wakefulness. I seal the output of space with the galactic tone of integrity. I am guided by the power of navigation. I harmonize in order to explore, modeling wakefulness. I seal the output of space with the galactic tone of integrity. I am guided by the power of navigation. And we take a moment to inhale that deeply. I harmonize in order to explore. Let's look at that and comb through it. So when we look at the word harmonize, first we feel into it. We know what harmony feels like, or most people do. But the definition is make consistent or compatible. So let's look at the opposite in our lives, right? The reason we're bringing something together for consistency is because it's chaotic, right? And so if you notice chaotic patterns in your world, then you can harmonize them. Harmonize them with what? Universal truth, right? And sometimes we don't know what universal truth is. So sometimes universal truth comes from talking to others and listening well. Listening with the soul rather than the ears and getting bothered by what we hear. We are actually listening into what is being said in order to know the truth of it, all right? If we're harmonizing something or making something consistent, it's because there's something that is inconsistent. I would say inconsistent with what you want to feel, experience, or know. So I harmonize chaotic thoughts, thoughts that do not align with universal truth in order to explore, right? So let's look at the word explore. What are we trying to explore? You know, when you look at children, I have 4 of them, so I think I have some expert knowledge in this area. When children are young, they don't have enough information about this realm. And so we tend to romanticize not having enough information. But not having enough information for a child could be detrimental. Let's take, for example, walking in the middle of a busy street, not knowing that they should look here and there, left and right for oncoming traffic, not understanding what a one-way street is. They may wander off into the woods exploring, but they don't have enough knowledge to know that there's some things you need to look out for, like poison ivy or snakes or whatever. They just explore, and we tend to romanticize exploration without wisdom. And I would love for us to stop doing that. Everybody talks about going back to when we were a child. No, we're not trying to go back to when we were a child. We're going back to the openness that children naturally have because they don't have enough information. But children are also open to new information. Hold on one second. I'm live. What you just want to get in? Okay. Hold on one second. So we're not trying to harmonize with childhood to explore. It's not childish exploration. It's openness to new things while understanding there are undercurrents, dynamics, and things that we need to attend to. So I harmonize with wisdom in order to explore. We can look up the word explore. And explore means to Inquire into or discuss a subject in detail. That's one definition. When I discuss a subject in detail, that's exploration. We need detailed discussions. And we have to harmonize our ego with an openness and wisdom in order to have certain conversations. Another definition of explore is to travel in or through unfamiliar territory in order to learn or familiarize oneself with it. What unknown territory are you journeying into? A lot of times our patterns guide us into familiar territories. So there's no exploration. We're really in an autopilot going through the territories that we know, while there is a vast expanse of territory that we have no clue about. So what is it that you haven't experienced yet? Right? And so in order to experience it, a lot of times we need additional information. So we got to harmonize with the wisdom of minds that attain those things. So what is the wisdom? But again, your ego has to harmonize. Your ego can't be insisting on its own way, right? Because then you're going to harmonize with your patterns. Then you're going to harmonize with what you know already. But if you lay your ego to the side in efforts to open and awaken to new things, then that means that we can explore in a new way. Modeling wakefulness. Now, I intuitively understand what wakefulness means, but I want to bring a deeper understanding. It says wakefulness is the state of being awake, alert, and aware of one's surroundings, which is the opposite of sleep. And that makes sense to harmonize with universal truth, to harmonize with wisdom in order to explore wakefully. Like we want to be in wakefulness. It says being aware of one's surroundings. I don't think we can ever become too aware of our surroundings and allow wisdom and guidance to come in and tell us this is the way, walk in it, or that is the way, walk in it. Right? Modeling wakefulness. I seal the output of space. What is the output of space? I'm going to ask AI. What is the output of space? It says output in the context of algorithms and computer science. Let's see. We know that space is an algorithm. In computer science, the output of space refers to the set of all possible distinct outputs of an algorithm. The input space is the set of all possible input values, while the output space is the set of all possible output values. So we're going to get out what we put in. If you go through your world exploring and you are asleep and unaware, you're going to keep getting the same outcomes, which are outcomes that you don't like. So we want to seal the output of space by looking at what our input was. Is our input wisdom? Is our input universal truth? Or is our input egoic stances and such? We have to ask ourselves that question. Hey, String Alchemist. And I ask myself that question now more than ever, because I'm beginning to realize, not only at the age that I am, I'm 47, but also the space that I find myself in health and wellness, that there's a lot of egocentric stuff we do, a lot of egocentric stuff that we say, and it doesn't really matter. But the ego is concerned, and the ego feels like it matters, and that's how you're asleep. You're unaware that some of these things don't matter. And so you got to be able to set the ego aside, number one. So you got to know what is your ego and what isn't. And have the ego submit to spirit, submit to wisdom. What is the pattern versus what is spiritual guidance? With the galactic tone of integrity, and in all of it, you're going to have a tone of integrity, right? And integrity, let's look that up. We know what it means, but we're leaning deeper or more deeply into it. It's the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles that you refuse to change. Okay, so there's levels of integrity, and you have many different selves, and integrity to each self is different. Did you know that? So when you're in your egoic self, the integrity of the egoic self is to stand up for your worth, is to assert yourself in things, is to draw the line in the sand. That's the integrity of the ego. And the heart has integrity. It has to do with the feelings, what I feel. My feelings are valid. And then the soul, as it connects to your higher self, has integrity, and that integrity has to do with spirit guidance. And so when you're talking about integrity, you got to ask yourself, what self are you talking about? You have a self in there that is so hurt from something or whatever, and the integrity of that self is to show meanness. Greetings, Skywalker. You have a self in there that is so blissful, and the integrity of that self is bliss and blissful thinking. So you don't have just one sense of integrity. You're multifaceted and multi-layered. And that's why I think the first sentence is important. Harmonize. What are you harmonizing with? Because that's going to determine your integrity. Are you harmonizing with the ego? Are you harmonizing with the heart? Are you harmonizing with spirit? Are you harmonizing, right? That brings us to this next. Let me read the next sentence and let's check out what this crystal moon is about. I am guided by the power of navigation. What is the power of navigation? The power of navigation is, hold on, let me look at this glyph because I can't see it. Hold on, I look it up. The power of navigation, I got it. Hold on, let me pull it up. The power of navigation is the earth. Okay, the power of it is the earth. The action from that power is evolve. Where are you repeating cycles? It's time for you to double down and see how you can shift something to come out of it. When you're guided by the power of navigation, that is the glyph of the earth in the oracle, in the destiny cross. So the action that is guided by that power is evolve. And so what we need to do, the essence of that is synchronicity. You're looking at synchronicities. When synchronicities come, you don't have to force them. They happen. They happen easily. They happen because time is orchestrating. It's not you pushing, forcing, or trying to really manifest this with all of your strength, but it's coming about because the cycles of time and the orchestration of the universe are aligning. And that's why, again, it's important to know what you're harmonizing with. Where are you struggling, forcing, asserting? That's the integrity of the ego. Is that where you want to make your decisions from? Or do you want to make your decisions from at all places? Sometimes you got to sit down and write what is coming from my ego, what is coming from my heart, what is coming from spirit, and where's the synchronicity in all of it. Because we can't have one operating with the without the other. You can't have your heart just operating without the ego, and you can't have your ego just operating without the heart. And you also cannot have universal truth experience available while you are not experiencing it. Okay, so we need all of it. Jordan, are you okay? She had her earpiece on. Okay, so let us continue to look at this. That leads us right into this moon. This 28-day cycle is called the crystal moon. And you are during the, like TCM, all are interconnected. What is TCM? During the crystal moon, we dedicate That's the power. The action is universalized. And the essence of it is cooperation. How well are you cooperating? How are you embodying cooperation? Well, if there are areas where you're pushing against and pulling away, then you are cooperating, but you are cooperating in not the action of universalizing, right? When you are pushing and pulling and creating separate, you're not universalizing. You're creating new spaces, right? But during this moon, we're trying to dedicate, universalize in the essence of cooperation. So during this moon, look at patterns of people giving rules to you, showing patterns to you. That's the universalized part. It's patterns. It's available to all. Wisdom comes forward and warns us about patterns. Where do you see patterns in your life? What do you want to universalize? You want to universalize flow? You want to universalize ease? Or do you want to universalize whatever? It's a good question, but you know that the action of universalizing is coming when you are talking to others about patterns, their patterns in the universe dynamics, and when they are talking to you about patterns. So we got to dedicate to listen to what is going on and then decide how we're going to cooperate. Are we going to cooperate and universalize? We need to figure out how to do that. Or are we going to cooperate in separateness? These are the questions of the next moon. You're going to start seeing the pattern, and when you see it, remember this talk. Not lastly, because we got two more. We're in this white wave spell. You see that black dot in the center of the screen? We are in the white wave spell, and this wave spell is really bringing to light our patterns so we can universalize something else. All of this is working together, right? This wave spell is causing us to look at our old ways and see how those old ways are still functioning today, and to assess which ones are serving and which ones are serving the same output. When you're not serving the output of wakefulness, you're getting the same thing you could get while you were sleeping. Greetings, sweet nerdy. Look at patterns in your life. What still exists that you were creating while you were sleeping? While you were sleeping, there are some things you were creating that still exists in your life. It's time for the output of wakefulness. Okay? So over the next, 5 days, and then we're going to add today. So today on through the 5 days after, the World Bridger is causing us to look at what needs to go, what needs to be born. What patterns of yourself still keep rising up? You know the patterns because they feel familiar. You've done it before. You did it while you were asleep. You're doing it now. So it's easy for you to recognize patterns. The challenge is, what are you going to do about them? Are you going to evolve? That's the crystal moon. Or are you going to stay the same and cooperate with what you were creating even while you were asleep? Good question, right? And then remember that we're in this blue season. You can locate the black dot. This blue season is about transformation and eagle's eye perspective. Right now, it's not the time to get in your feelings and make moves, decisions, and say things. And it's not the time to do that. The season before was the time to navigate from the heart and loyalty and compassion. But, and I'm not saying leave those things behind. We're never leaving them behind. But what's coming to the forefront is you need an eagle's eye perspective. Otherwise, you're living according to last season. So this season is about dynamics. It's about universal truth. It's about long-term objectives. It's about making short steps to long-term objectives. It's about taking in the whole picture, not just the small picture. Last season was about the small picture. This season is about the whole picture. How do these little pieces fit into the bigger picture? Last season was about, nope, I'm loyal to myself. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going going to be, and that was last season. Or I want to make sure people feel, and I want to make sure people know I'm here. That was last season. That's still there, but it's taking a back seat. Now what it sounds like is, how does this fit in the overall picture? What is the next step? What is the stepping stone? Where am I going, and what are the steps that will lead me there? And what do I need to leave behind? Again, we're trying to leave behind the output of being asleep and seal the output of wakefulness. Look at what's going on in your life. Where have you created this before? Hello, King Cream. All right. So I think that's all I got. Today, I'll just say really quick, it's about the heart, right? So we have days where we can dip down into the heart. But when we dip down into the heart, it's important for you to clarify your own heart and then find the eagle's eye perspective in it. Not leading with the heart, clarifying in the heart, and then leading with the eagle eye perspective. What does that look like? Well, today I'm going to think about what I'm passionate about. Today, I'm going to think about being kind and compassionate, joy. I'm going to think about what I really am adamant about. That's what I'm thinking about. And I'm making sure that's balanced. How do you know if your heart chakra is imbalanced? You say things like, my heart is saying this, but my mind is saying that. There's an out of balance in your chakra system. Your chakra system is out of balance when you have something that you want really intensely, such that it's turning into lack and fear. Your heart chakra is imbalanced when you are afraid of love and afraid of being open. So we want to balance that. And when it's balanced, it's also balanced with the discernment. It's also balanced with the crown. So it's also balancing the throat chakra, so that when you speak, you're not only speaking from the heart, but it's a combination of discernment and wisdom and the best expression and spiritual guidance. We need all of that. Right? So as we focus on our heart, we're also looking at the throat, the third eye, and the crown. Because sometimes we try to lead with the heart and we leave those other parts out. Sometimes we try to lead with the crown and we leave the other parts out. We need all of it to cooperate. Cooperate. So today, yes, you're feeling into your heart. You're feeling the feels. You're coming out with clarity and perspective about what you really want. But now we got to work, cooperate what we really want with universal principles, truths, dynamics, and best ways of expression. And I'm experiencing that in my own life right now, right? Plugging into my heart what I really want. And what do I have to cooperate with? There's some things I choose to cooperate with that I don't really want to right now because I see the bigger picture. There's some steps I take that really it doesn't seem like the step that I would want to take, but I see it lining up with the future that I desire. There are many paths to an end game result. And the path you take depends on what part of you is leading. If your heart is leading, then, and you're moving without discernment and without the crown, then you might find yourself in some real painful situations and have to double back and do it again. That's part of life. We're not trying to demonize that. At the same time, if your heart is tired of doing that, then you gotta call on the support of your discernment and the crown. This is what I really want, but I've done this and that before, and I want a different way. So may another way be made or laid, or is there a different step I need to take that I don't usually take? Cooperation. We need all systems flowing and in alignment. You know when you're operating in one place more than the other because something feels unsettled and you're pushing. Something feels unsettled and you're fussing. Something feels unsettled, and there's a tinge of fear. That fear is trying to tell you to look at something. The fear is not trying to stop you. That's the conditioning. We think that fear is trying to stop us, or there's a devil that's trying to stop us, or some enemy or some entity that's trying to stop us. Absolutely not. It's pointing to things that you need to look at, but you don't want to look at it. So you choose to call it being against you. It's really for you. So you got to stop and ask, what is it that I need to be seeing here that I don't see? I need a full perspective. It's about eagle's eye point of view. So this is not the previous season point of view where I just look from my heart and I go. No, I'm going to back up and I'm going to take all the perspectives. And from that, I'm going to galvanize something that feels good to my whole entire system. And I'm not pushing. I'm not in fear. I'm not forcing, and I'm not fussing. Some people say do it afraid, and I say yes, sometimes you have to when you don't have a choice. But when you have a choice, I say get the lesson, get the intel and the information from the fear so you can move in wisdom. That's what I say. And I think the things that I've gone through and the amount of years I've gone through them, I think that amounts to some wisdom to share for someone. Okay, so self-assess. Where's your heart tugging and pulling you? Get some clarity. What is spirit saying? Sometimes we get this broad perspective from spirit, but then we need spirit guidance for each step. There's a scripture that says the steps of a righteous man are ordered by spirit. So yes, you have a broad perspective. I have some. But then there's some steps that spirit will lead you to, steps that you might be like, that's not really what I planned here. I know that it's that way in my life. It's been that way in my life. There's some things that I didn't plan to do, but I did them, and it led to the result that I was looking for. But only you know what that step is, right? But we're not going to let one part of us tell us what the step is. We're taking that eagle's eye point of view, taking in all the perspectives, weighing options. It's like letting some Libra energy come in, weigh the options, find the symmetry, find the asymmetry. Is what I'm saying making sense? I know it is, but I just need to know, is it making sense to you? All right. So is it applicable? Can you find a space to apply it? That's the next question. I know I can. Already in progress, I say. So let's look at the powers available before we go. So we have our guide, the power of navigation. We have our support, which is the world bridger. The world bridger is supporting this old stuff passing away today, so you can equalize. And that's going to open up opportunities. There are a lot of doors that will open. And there are a lot of doors that will close. What door you take depends on your season, what season you're in. Not only the collective season, but in your personal season. If you're in a season of evolution, you're going to be making some choices you never made before. You're going to be looking at patterns and maybe doing some mirror work, choosing the opposite. We have some challenge here. The challenge is staying away from a lack mindset. You know, a lack mindset when you're forcing and pushing. The challenge is vision. Right? What do you see? Now, listen, be careful when you ask that question, because what you see depends on your level of consciousness. What you see just depends on your mood and your state of being, what's activated and what's not activated. Okay, so when you're asking, what do I see? You need to ask, what do I need to see that I don't already see? And the essence of that is intuition. Your intuition will answer that question for you. And if you're in a space where you don't want to ask that question, what do I need to see that I don't already see? Know that that's your challenge. You probably don't want to ask it because you want to go to the left, right, north, and south. But if I were in your space, and I am because I'm another you, I want to see all there is to see. What do I need to see that I don't see already? And if you need help with that, you can sign up for coaching. I can give you plenty of perspective. You decide what perspective is for you. My job as a coach is to present perspectives. You choose, right? Yes. And then we have some behind the veils energy. It's the star. The star will beautify your sight and make a place that you're in now that feels ugly, it'll make it beautiful. I can remember working at a gym, and it had gotten pretty hard there because of some things that were going on there. And this was years ago, like 2017. And I knew it wasn't time for me to leave, although I wanted to, and although I saw the bigger picture, it wasn't time. So I had to ask Spirit, what is beautiful about this place? Because right now, all I'm seeing is what I don't like, what I don't want. And I know it's not time for me to get up and go. I could get up and go, but I know it's not time. Just because these things are going on doesn't mean it's time. My intuition was telling me to be still. And so I began to develop a relationship with my regional manager, and she just fell in love with me. And she was like, oh, Veronica, whatever you want. I started getting all over the schedule, getting classes that people who've been there for years couldn't have. People started flocking to me, and so much so that the gym said at that time, we'll pay for you to go to personal training, get the certification, we'll pay for that if you agree to be part of our training team, because the people really love you. That wasn't on my radar. I hope you see what I'm saying. So while I was ready to go because this is too much and these people and I'm dealing with this, but my intuition was like, be still for a second. And I wanted to know, if I got to be still, what's beautiful about this? That's star energy. Greetings, Tomboy. That's star energy. And when my relationship with my regional manager started developing, like so many opportunities opened up, they sent me to trainings and paid for them. They sent me the personal trainer certification program. Just study it at your own time, but get it done because we want you here. I started getting offered classes at different locations. So it's important to ask these questions because we're never seeing all there is to see. Never. Ashe. Ashe. It is so. I want you to know, when I'm speaking to you about these things, I'm speaking to you not only about my past experience, not only from my past experience, personal, not only from my professional experience, but from my current life. These things are in operation in my current life daily. So the ones who have ears, let them hear. And the ones who have eyes, let them see. And that is it. Peace be to your creation. I am done here. Let's remember this. The ego tells you that the top part is advanced yoga. But what's true is the bottom part is the advanced yoga. It's the yoga of the mind, the spirit. You are welcome. Ashe. All right, y'all. Well, have a beautiful day, a beautiful creation. Peace.